Type L Cement Concrete Finishing Trial, October 11th, 2025. There's been much discussion about placing and finishing concrete with Type L cement. Issues have included lack of bleed water, rapid moisture loss in the top surface, making it harder to finish, increased sensitivity to the wind and the sun, which ultimately ends up looking like scaling and peeling later on. We've also experienced low breaks. So we've decided to have this little trial pour to come up with some ways that we might be able to help. It should be noted that evaporation control products applied when floating have been one of the most successful methods in getting a good finish. But we wanted to see what we could do in the mix design to help this situation. So we took a typical 4,500 PSI mix design, did 3 separate loads, one with slag, one with glass, and one with a viscosity modifier, VMAR. And the slag has been around for a long time. Slag's a byproduct of the steel industry. We used a lot of slag for jobs that had lead requirements on them, where you had to use a certain amount of recycled content in the construction of a building. The second product we tried was recycled glass, which is newer to the scene, but performs much like slag, with maybe a little less water demand and a little bit higher strengths. Both products cut back on the total amount of cement used, which is very helpful in the industry's efforts to reduce carbon emissions. Both products, the glass and the slag, will also slow the heat of hydration, which is a benefit to finishing on hot days, but not so much in strength gain on cold days. And then the third option we used, VMAR F100 by Creso, added to the mix at about 5 ounces per hundredweight. The VMAR is a viscosity modifier, and we wanted to see what we could do with straight cement using the VMAR. So the first test, the slag at 20% cement replacement, we got about a 3.5 inch slump and about a 3.5 on the air. A little lower than I like and a little tighter than the guys liked. But it did work up well. It did provide enough cream, and it actually broomed very nicely. When we did the 20% glass on the second test, the slump was about a 4.5, the air was about a 5.5. So it was a little bit looser, but was still pretty sticky starting out. I should mention that we did use 2% accelerator in this, and the sun came out, so that can contribute some of the stickiness. But also the little bit higher slump helped as well. There was plenty of cream. The surface closed up easily and broomed very nicely. The third test we did, we used VMAR F100 added to the mix. VMAR is a viscosity modifier. We put it in right before loading the truck, poured it right on the sand. The result was about a 4.25 inch slump. During the placement, it seemed like we weren't going to get the cream we needed. It seemed like it was a little tight, a little rough. But in floating, the cream came right up, and it was plastic enough to get a good finish on. The VMAR actually had the best characteristics for getting a nice looking finish. It was suggested that we try the VMAR in combination with either the slag or the glass. We may do another test, and we may document that as well. But that makes the most sense, because you'd get the cement reduction that the industry's looking for, and you'd get the finishability all in one. As I said earlier, the use of the evaporation controls is one of the best insurance policies you can have in finishing. We certainly can't control the weather, and we certainly want to get work done. So we have to use whatever tools we can to be able to get a good product in the end. What we have learned today is that there are things we can do to make Type L cement in concrete more finisher friendly. And it was very critical and helpful that the guys that came, the finishers that came, offered their advice, offered their opinions. So I want to thank everybody that participated, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.